Jordan, so good to see you. Today, I wanted to talk through some bond alternatives. I feel like a lot of people watching today are probably familiar with the traditional 60-40 portfolio, which is 60% equities, 40% bonds. But throughout history, that's not always going to solve everybody's financial problems or questions, especially back in 2022, as you know, when bonds were down and stocks were down. So let's talk through some alternatives. What comes up for you as some options?
Yeah, you're 100% right, Aaron. There's a lot of people that just stick with the old style
Yeah.
traditional 60-40, but you don't know what you don't know. And there's a lot of things out there that they can take less risk, get more return, and not be subject to some of the interest rate environments that actually bonds play in a portfolio. So there's a few items that can do that. One is using structured products. So you can use kind of a leverage downside and some structured products to kind of minimize the risk. Sometimes we use structured notes to do that. Those
Mhm.
can give a defined yield on a 1 year duration. And also, some people that don't want any market risk, we can use fixed index annuities to get them those competitive returns, kind of like a bond equivalent, but better when it comes to kind of the performance over time, but with no market risk and no volatility. So, a lot of options are out there.
hmm And I'm glad you brought up structured notes because you are backed by a team of investment experts at Brookstone Capital Management, which manages $15 billion in assets, which allows you to have access to some unique opportunities that I can't go down to my local bank and buy.
Correct. And Aaron, again, I don't know this for sure on the stat, but I think they're one of the number one in the nation for kind of using these structured notes. And they get that pricing benefit and they
Right.
negotiate these each and every month. So a lot of our clients, especially over the last 6 months, are ranging between 10 and 15% guaranteed yields on a 1 year basis on structured notes. And those kind of, we diversify these, we ladder these inside the plan and inside the portfolio. We use different banks just to kind of diversify who we use, but it's just a great way if the market is sideways, if the market is down, there's protection on those 30% barriers on the different market indexes to really give clients those competitive returns without taking a ton of market risk.
Right. And again, that circles back to the original thought about bond alternatives because a lot of people see bonds as being risk free or low risk, which of course sometimes maybe they're not. And the reason we're having this conversation today, Jordan, in July of 2026, inflation is up. We are concerned that interest rates may increase. So this is a timely conversation.
Yeah, because a lot of people, I think, realize this, but until they see it in their portfolio, they don't realize, oh my goodness, this affected me. Interest rates, we talked about a few months ago, they might be going down. Well, now with inflation, they might be going up. And if the interest rates goes up, that has a negative relationship inverse with bonds, and people can actually lose money. So it's a great way to
Mhm.
kind of think about how do we potentially reposition some of this money to protect against that interest rate risk, maybe get some competitive returns. Maybe we use different fixed index annuities where there's no market risk, where they can still get that strong performance comparable to bonds, and make sure that before the next correction, they're well positioned, or before the next interest rate increases, they're not going to be negatively impacted by that.
And one more option that we wanted to talk through is also kind of a unique option, buffered ETFs, buffered products,
Yeah.
which allow us to, again, mitigate if the market falls 20%, 30%.
Yeah, so we've got to obviously tailor everything to the individual and to their plan. But a lot of people don't always realize that you don't have to take a lot of risk to get a lot of return, and you can actually take protected risk inside these buffered products. So sometimes we can put 100% buffers where they can't lose a dime no matter what. Sometimes we do a 10 or 20 or 30% buffer. We can tailor it to each individual, but if the market goes up, they're still making competitive returns. If the market goes down based on the buffer, we may have no losses or minimal losses, but that's obviously tailored to the individual. We use a variety of these products, and a lot of people, we always worry about liquidity, or people think about liquidity. That's why we need to have a plan. But a lot of things I just mentioned were 100% liquid, or there is liquidity available, but we just got to make sure that it fits your profile, it fits your plan, and
Mhm.
make sure you're comfortable with whatever we decide. But there's a lot of options out there we just got to be aware of.
A lot of options that a lot of people kind of just don't realize bonds are incapable of solving for. So again, Jordan, I'm glad you had time to talk this through today. It's important to know of these options before the market is volatile. It's
Yeah.
been high lately, but if somebody would like to talk through some of these bond alternatives with you, what's the best way to reach you?
Yeah, we have an amazing team. Happy to help. They can call our main number, 847-499-3454. And remember, it's not just about making returns, it's about making competitive returns with minimal risk.
Exactly. Jordan, well said. Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron.